Of recent, President William Ruto has said that the courts are very corrupt.
Nani ajui hapa kuna ufisadi inaendelea mahakamani?
And number two, he has said he intends to clean corruption out of the courts.
And we are going to eliminate corruption.
Now, are the courts really corrupt? The answer to that question is yes. There have been very many cases, including the most recent one involving Justice Chitembwe, who has been sacked, and very many other cases that have involved magistrates and judges receiving bribes. However, does the president really mean it that he will clean the corruption in the courts? The answer to that question is no. The president really relies on the same corruption in the courts. Corruption in Kenya works in a very interesting manner when it comes to critical areas of governance. In the judiciary, we have seen cases of judges receiving bribes. Now, in most cases, some judges will usually be given bribes, and several people in government will know certain judges have received bribes, and they'll not speak about that information. They let it flow. However, when these persons want favors from the same judiciary or from the same department, they'll use these cases or this information against the same judges as blackmail in order to get their way. So if the president was to implement the corruption, the removal of corruption in the judiciary today, very many persons in his party who have cases in the judiciary would end up being jailed, number one. Number two, if the president was to implement if the president was really serious with eliminating corruption in the judiciary, then most of his bills, including the housing levy, the SHIF, would never see the light of day. Most of them are very unconstitutional. They don't follow the constitution. They ignore certain clauses of the constitution. And if such bills were to go to a very independent, corruption-free court, these bills would never see the day of light. Now, if the president doesn't intend to eliminate corruption in the judiciary, what is his endgame? Now, just as I've said earlier on, corruption in the judiciary is quite rampant, and very many people know of judges and magistrates who have received bribes and everything. Now, what the president is actually doing is known as chantage politique, which is usually political blackmail. So the president is actually telling them that, I know you guys have received bribes, I know your information, I know what you usually do. So if you continue hindering my bills, my legislation, I will shame you out, I'll expose you, I will sack you. And in most cases, especially right now, no one wants to be sacked. So what you're going to see is that most of these conservatory orders that were issued on his bills will be dropped. Most of these petitions won't go through. Most of his legislations will now sail through. Now, you might see the president fire one or two people. You might see some legislation being tabled in parliament. But this is just meant for public consumption to show the public that the president is working on removing corruption in the judiciary. But in reality, corruption will remain in the judiciary, and by 2027 we'll be talking about the same thing, because we have very many legislations in Kenya Kwanza who have cases in courts, and they wouldn't want to remove that corruption aspect of it, because most of these cases have physical evidence. We have cases of attempted murder, looting, corruption. Physical evidence is there, yeah, and this is a serious problem. So at the end of the day, I consider what the president is doing as political and trying to blackmail the judiciary. Thank you guys for watching. If you find this video interesting, kindly consider following me on this platform and all other platforms I own.